Hello, my name is Brian McCullough. I'm an associate professor in the Albert School of Business and Economics. This is my Earth Talk for the 50th anniversary of Earth Day. I'm sorry that this is pre-recorded, but given the current circumstances, I'm taking care of my boys, so I'm recording this at night when everyone's asleep. So I hope you enjoy my talk. My Earth Talk focuses on the United Nations Sport for Climate Action framework. I had the opportunity to contribute to the initial meetings in the draft of the document that was eventually announced at COP24. But before we understand what goes into the framework, we must understand that sport impacts the natural environment. Three examples of that are through the amount of waste that's produced at sporting events, whether they be spectator or participant events, in the tailgating zone of a football game, in a big time stadium, or even during a 5K or a marathon race with the amount of waste that's produced at those types of events. Also, when you consider the amount of air pollution that's produced because of an event, everyone that's traveling by plane or by car to an event, whether they be a participant, spectator, an official, the media, or workers and volunteers, has a substantial impact. This can range from anywhere from 40 all the way up to 80% of the carbon footprint of an event. Another example would be the environmental injustices that happen because of the construction of a new sporting facility. The attention is diverted away from lower socioeconomic populations that are being relocated because of this facility coming into generally a lower socioeconomic area, but then also reallocation of city resources away from vulnerable populations. So there are some major and significant environmental justice issues. Next, we need to understand that sport is impacted by the natural environment. So the way that we consume and participate in sport is impacted by the quality of and the health of our natural environment. With water quality, rowers from the United States, when they went down to practice before the Rio Summer Games, they came back and they were sick because they were rowing in what was raw sewage. And so the water quality there was terrible. Clean air is also important for our performance and also just our general health. But LeBron James was complaining about the air quality in the Staples Center because of the Southern California wildfires. The Australian Open, the tennis tournament, was delayed and certain matches were canceled because of the poor air quality of the brush fires there. Marathon runners at the Beijing Olympics were in the hospital for 3 months after because the air pollution surrounding Beijing at that time. And then lastly, another example of how sport is impacted by the natural environment is extreme weather. Tornadoes, hurricanes, flooding, and extreme heat all impact the way that we are able to consume sport, again, whether as a spectator or a participant. And so the United Nations wanted to engage the entire global sports sector to ensure that they were promoting and advocating for climate action. And so there are 5 different pillars to this framework. First is to undertake systematic efforts to promote greater environmental responsibility. So we need to value this within our organization and identify where our impacts are. So that leads into number 2, reduce our our climate impact. So once we identify what we are doing, we can reduce those impacts. And so once we're able to walk the walk, then we can talk the talk. And we can educate for climate action within our organization and amongst our fans, so we can raise their awareness. And then that leads into the 4th point, promote sustainable and responsible consumption, both at our events and also in their everyday lives. So translate those sustainable and responsible consumption behaviors from the event into their everyday lives, and so it permeates the population through sport. Now, sport isn't the end all be all, but it's one piece in the puzzle. And then lastly, they want to be able to get to a point where fans and the organizations themselves are advocating for climate action through their different communication, promoting different policies that would advocate and benefit the surrounding and natural environment. Now, the question I pose to you is, what can you do? Well, you can engage your local sport organizations, whether it be your gym, your community sports center, your local YMCA, the athletic department at Seattle University, or the rec department here at Seattle University, to encourage them to reduce their environmental impact and do everything that they possibly can to do so. They can also sign up for this framework. But it's really important that social pressure be applied to these different organizations so they, one, become cognizant of it and know that their customers and stakeholders are really valuing this important aspect of their business operations. Thank you for your attention. And if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me at my email here, or you can follow me on Twitter or send me a message on Twitter there with my handle. Have a great Earth Day, and thank you for listening.